So first of all, thank you, Langa. Is here with us as well. She's going to be our facilitator. Exactly the same in the previous round. So Langa, welcome and thank you. We appreciate it. I think I'm quickly going to kick off just for some clarity of the process. It's very important, and a little bit of feedback on the previous Fuel to Future process, and then just a brief sort of objective that we want to reach with this session, and then longer it's up to you to figure out all the stuff that needs to be done. Okay, so I think there's the screen share. So remember, this is our Fuel to Future process. Just for clarity, there's two similar processes that's running this year. The first one that's already done and dusted was the objective was research, peer empirical research. We went through that process. It was very successful. It was very successful. We sent out a call for proposals, 14 of them, and we got 55 proposals from all universities and different universities and research institutions and so forth. There's the approved projects. We are in the finalization stages of signing the SLAs and so forth to get the research up and running. So process number one of Fuel to Future number one for research, as I said, done and dusted and very successful. So thank you for everybody that was part of that as well. The objective for this round, and just for clarification, this round is exactly the same. It's the same focus area groups, same facilitators. We're recreating the process or duplicating the process because it works. However, the objective is a little bit different. So the first objective was peer research. The objective for this round is to assist RMIS with inputs on the project portfolio. So we've got a project portfolio each and every year. So that's the bigger portfolio of projects that can be ring-fenced and that we can set out for either RMIS being the service provider ourselves or contracting an external service provider. So this is nothing to do with research. It's implementation. It's running projects and implementing projects. That's what we want to get at. So hopefully that's clear. So please, we're not going to talk about research. We'll do that next year. The research projects that has been approved most of them, well, 90% of it will be done and dusted by July next year. So it's short-term research so that we can use it in the industry as building blocks. So so the project portfolio for 2025 that we ran at RMIS, there's one project out of the 10 projects that's relevant for this conversation, inclusive growth, that we spend the money on. So just from clarification point of view, the NMC guidelines that we get from NEC for the statutory funds, a portion of the money must go to inclusive growth. That's the sort of the heading. However, it's our responsibility and our work to break it down into smaller projects that can be ring-fenced, that we can budget for. And I think the most important part is that we can actually measure the input that we're making towards the industry for inclusive growth at the end of the day. Just a little bit of feedback. The current project, this is a small dashboard, very summarized dashboard, is the majority of the funds for 2025 went into training. There's a lot of training that happened. I think everybody is aware that we are AgriSETA accredited in RMIS, and we've got our own facilitators or trainers that we use, and we send out to do quite a lot of training, whether it's in projects or for projects, the LDS, Land Development Support Project, or whatever it might be, but it's also in collaboration with organizations like Food for Mzansi and African farming and so forth. And then there's training all over the place. So essentially, most of the money actually went into peer training. And I think the conversation might lead. So, I mean, it's two ways. We should review, is this still the way to do it? Is training still important? I assume it will be. But, I mean, the discussions should go in the direction, if we continue with training, which I think we should, is the way we do it effective? Should we change it a little bit? Is there room for improvement and so forth? I think that's one question. In my opinion, I think we're doing brilliantly with regards to training. However, from an RMIS perspective, there's a lot of people that needs to be trained, and we'll always have limited capacity. So something in the direction of looking at other platforms and so forth just to get to more people. I think that's a point of discussion. And after that, it's open for discussions. In my opinion, there's other things additionally to peer training that can benefit emerging farmers from a project portfolio point of view. And I think we have to open the floor. We are open for suggestions, and I think there's still a lot of opportunities moving for improvement.
If I can just add, we are using different platforms at this stage to transfer knowledge. And the first one is formal training, formal classroom training. And then it's the Farmers Days and also webinars, which is online. And then also we train with the mobile unit, where we do on-farm training or on-site training, if I can call it like that. That is a more demonstration, on-the-spot training with the cattle. So that is our methodology at this stage. And I can just say that the mobile unit is a unit that we use to vaccinate, brand animals, tattooing, and administer whatever needs to be administered. So that is our methodologies that we use in the training.
Cool. Okay, that's what we're doing currently.
Okay, and another priority is to extend our farmer database. We concentrate on communities, and you can see the numbers we already register on our base. On our database is 97 communities, more than nearly 9,000 emerging farmers, and the livestock that is linked to that communities. It's quite a vast number.
No, thanks, Philip. Thanks, Elaine. Welcome everybody to this session, and I'm hoping really to be a lively discussion and hopefully provide good guidance to RMIS where we think that they should focus. I think, are there a lot of people? How many do we have? 14, yeah. No, I think let's run through introductions as well so that we know who we're speaking to. If you don't know me, my name is Langa Simela. I'm currently at ABSA doing financial inclusion there in the agribusiness sector, but also have a very long history with the red meat industry. I've worked previously there for 10 years, and I always say it's my home, it's my base, it's my foundation in my career in the agribusiness sector. And over to you for introduction.
Okay, my name is Roy Pinaar. I'm in the insurance industry. I'm the director of OPS Makelaars in the Eastern Free State, and we specialize in insurance for the agri sector and also on the red meat side.
Thanks, Roy. And Arno, just going down the line.
It's Arno Hugo from University of the Free State. I'm basically involved in training in meat science and also research in meat science. But it's very interesting for me to listen to this discussion. I attended the previous one as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Arno. Dani Odendaal.
Yeah, I'm Dani Odendaal. I'm veterinarian, actively working in developing methodologies for animal health management and remote veterinary management in developing communities.
Thanks, Dani. David?
Hi, I'm David Chinakal. I'm just a farmer. I see I'm here with a lot of, I train people today.
More than welcome.
Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah. And Gama? Already unmuted.
Good day. My name is Gama Pasha. I'm a farmer and I'm a chairman of Afasa Red Meat Community. I'm also a member of VCRTs for Remis. Thanks.
Thanks, Gama. Habo?
How are you? Habo Ramuta. I'm an independent agribusiness consultant working with the livestock farmers in the Northern Cape. Thank you.
Thanks, Rabo. And is it Kani Baloyi? Oh,
Connie,
Kani.
Connie.
I can see you, Kani, not hear you. No, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm Khandi Baloyi. I am an analyst at BFAP and I work on livestock and recently started working on inclusive growth within the agricultural sector in BFAP.
Yeah, thanks, Kani. And Matt?
Oh, sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matthew Carter. I've worked for the last 15 odd years in training and support for communal farmers. Now more focused on technical support services for communal and commercial farmers.
Thanks, Matt. And Roy is in the house. Is that the last person?
My name is Shalandi. I'm from the Red Meat Producers Organization, Northern Cape.
Thank you, Shalandi. I don't see your name on the board. Yolandi. Yeah, okay. And then Ryan?
Good afternoon, everybody. Ryan Newborn from OABS, agricultural development consultants, involved in a couple of programs that we design and implement, livestock development programs. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. And thanks, Philip, for the introduction. I think listening to Philip, my first question is, in this inclusive development, what are we trying to achieve? And especially when I was listening to the training, I mean, there's so many people that can be trained. I see there's a project on school kids. You can think of extension officers, you think of farmers, and there's a whole array of them already in the sector that we're dealing with, or the segment of the sector. So my first question was, what is our target in this inclusive growth? What are we trying to achieve? And I think if we can answer that, then we can say, what projects do we do in order to make an impact?
Okay.
And that's open to anyone.
Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
Nobody else is going. I think from if you work backwards from NMC to the mandate of RMIS and support, everything needs to boil down to production development at the end of the day. Yes, it's inclusive growth, but it has to go to production development. I mean, if training is converted into higher productivity and profitability, I mean, that's a good thing. And if training mitigates risk from animal diseases or stock theft or whatever it might be, that's a good thing. My question will be is, I mean, the current way of, well, the content and the way of training that we're currently doing it, can it really be converted into, well, either risk mitigation or profitability at the end of the day? It makes sense that it converts to that. Currently, what we're struggling at RMS is to measure that. So I assume it's happening. I mean, if they understand better, they can farm better, the emerging farmers, and they will be more profitable. But if we can't measure it, then we've got problems as RMIs because we have to report back to NMC and so forth. So yes, we can do training, but training without some sort of a measurement, which is a record keeping system, or have you sold your animals in a commercial market or something in that direction. I think we're not missing it, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement. So in my opinion, I think we should keep on training. I mean, it will never stop training. I think it's a good thing and we have to budget for it. However, the method of training, a more comprehensive sort of a offering, isn't that something up for discussion?
Thanks, Philip.
Well, the only way to measure training is if we are involved in a long-term project. And that's the only way where you can measure production, where you can actually measure the impact of the training. But we are using various methodologies, and I think the numbers that are attending that is really a reflection of the need and of the impact of our training as we are operating with reputation. So I think the training definitely has value. I would just like to add more value if we can have other platforms that can present training. For example, an online platform. I think that will be valuable for our industry.
Any comments from anyone, Ryan? Seems to be a focus on you.
No, absolutely. I think the training component is critical, both the formal training component as well as the what we call crawl side training. It's more of an informal training, but I think that the component of linking it or trying to link it back to production metrics, which is very difficult, and as Helene said, it's a long-term process. But I think it's absolutely critical that that training is at least a component within the bigger development process.
Thanks, Ryan. Matt, and who else? I know it was RPO external.
Yeah, I mean, our experience in the training side of things is that it's obviously critical. There's all sorts of knowledge and skills that is widely accepted. It's in itself not controversial in any way, shape, or form, and needs to be transferred to the people on the ground. I think in our experience, the challenge you've got with that training is it's incredibly expensive if you're kind of paying for someone's travel and accommodation, and then you're paying for the farmer's attendance and that actually the kind of the meaningful engagement that has to happen is maybe half an hour. It's relatively basic information that needs to be transferred, and then there needs to be some sort of a follow-up and ongoing engagement. And I think that's why we've started focusing more and more on the technical support side, because you can spend a day training someone on how to take a temperature and how to do the eye inspection, but then you need to provide them with that ongoing support to how they are using and interpreting that information. And so it's about building those connections and maintaining them, and doing so relatively cost effectively, because the training on its own is very expensive, has limited impact and almost zero traceability, whereas some basic ongoing technical support engagement, understanding what they're doing, understanding what the impact is on their productivity, that starts to generate more meaningful impact and data.
Okay. No, thanks, Matt. You're almost also defining then who gets trained, because I mean, you're saying it's people that can actually implement it on the ground, right? Whatever the training was. Thanks, Yolanda. Oh, sorry, Matt.
No, yeah. I think with the proper support structures in place, then you are able to allow more people to provide the training. All the unemployed animal health technicians, etc. But there has to be some sort of a common message and some way for that individual on the ground to link back to a broader and ongoing support structure.
No, thanks for that input, Yolanda.
Because I was thinking about. I was looking at Beefmaster, that is a feedlot and an abattoir here in the Northern Cape, and they've got a training program where they assist these upcoming farmers in giving them stock and assist them with their management practices. But there's a kind of a contract in place with them, that they will help them with technical services, like they've got a veterinarian that they've employed, and animal health specialist and feed specialist and everything. So they will work intensely like a mentorship with these farmers. And then the contract is that they have to sell that cattle that they've provided initially to them again back to the feedlot or to the abattoir. And then they measure kind of their successes with that and their calving rates and everything. So that might be a solution as to how to assist and develop this inclusive growth in a measurable manner. And I think that instead of just having a once-off day, a continuous process, and having these farmers developing and getting success story, that creates a big motivation for other farmers to take part in such process, and it also assists in developing those farmers back into commercial farmers. Just something to think about.
Net 'n vraag, just a question on that. So I mean, clearly we have to differentiate between. I mean, that's a proper project. You have to manage it and so forth. And I think that's really the way to go to really enhance the success and productivity and profitability. However, there will always be a cap on funding and time. Is what it is. So are we saying on the one side that we have to do projects like that, ring fence it, lobby for more money, whatever it needs to be done? I mean, Yolandi, like tapping into the Beefmaster model, try to expand that to other feedlots and stuff like that, which makes sense to me. But on the other side, peer training and the volume of peer training is something different then. And we have to do both of them, if I'm listening correctly.
Philip, if I can put in just an idea popping up, if you have projects like that tapping into the feedlots, assisting funding or co-funding, and then we on specific days you pull that community or that group of people you're assisting and then give training in that area so that the people can see what is the success story from the person involving in the success story. Not the academic or somebody from the city coming and telling you, oh, this is going to work and this is a good idea, but that the success story starts spreading out from the people on the ground.
Yeah.
That don't give them a fish, learn them to fish.
Yeah. I think to support that, one of the projects that was approved through previous Fuel to Future was the idea of sort of a value chain mapping, but very specifically with regards to success stories of the development of small farms. I mean, and training is always a component of it. It's not everything, but it's a component. And what I'm hearing is market access is a massive thing. Yes, you can train them, but if you don't provide them with market access, a clear route to market access, and even if it's a forward contract to Beefmaster in this scenario, I mean, then you train them to understand it, but it doesn't really help, does it? So that's what I'm hearing. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
All the success story.
And be able to implement whatever the training is.
And then just learn them more, not only about the animal, but about the business, about the risk transfer, about engaging to markets. You know, so you put this whole thing. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay. Yeah. So, colleagues, it's been narrowed down. Okay, there is more comments. I'll have you in that order. Habo, Danny, and Kama.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think also one critical component to tie to the training, I think, which will help in terms of moving the farmer forward, is to look holistically into the issue around the enterprise development. Like, while looking in the market access, because they are always more moving from a point of a lack of or a limited resource. What kind of an enterprise support program can be put into these farmers, especially those who have land with maybe from Plus Farm or whatever, they use their means to get the land, to support them down, they can improve and then enhance the numbers of their stock on the farm so that they can be competitive. I think that is also another thing that training need to tie into those element of enterprise development. Thank you.
Thanks, Hawa. I think we'll come back to that. Let's hear the other comments.
Longa, yeah, I think that is a very important one, to have market access. I can give you two examples. Can you hear me?
Yes.
2 examples. We've done training in Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal at 35 dip tanks, training community animal health workers at each dip tank, getting feedback from them on a monthly basis on the diseases that they have trouble with. And then we started Vleissentraal with the help of Vleissentraal and the state veterinarians there, which was very active. We set up an auction for those guys, and it was so successful. The one thing is they had their own cooperative, and the cooperative got a percentage of the auction. The first auction was over R1 million worth of cattle being sold, and they could immediately see what type of cattle is getting the high prices, the younger animals versus the oxen. And I think up to date, they had more than 20 such auctions there in that area. I'm not involved there. At that stage, I was with Afrivet Training Services, but they had more than 20 auctions, and each of those auctions had over R1 million of turnover. So that was incredibly successful. Just that market access, and then suddenly people understand what do the market want. You can even go further and do an incentive. The other example is I was working in Gazankulu and looking at their mortality rate, death rate in cattle, and their reproductive rate over the period from the early 80s to early 90s, 1990s. And looking at how successful were we at that stage with prevention of deaths, as well as with reproduction, from the 80s, early 80s, after a massive die out of half of the population, over 144,000 cattle, we grew the numbers again. Good management, they were not overgrazed at that stage, to 1992. And from 92, they were back to their numbers. But from 92 to 94, half the population died again, over 100,000 cattle, just due to drought. And my conclusion from all those studies, everything I've done there is, if we can't give market access, we can't drive market access, whatever we do in improving health and production was a waste, because we just get to a period of overgrazing, and then in the next drought, half the population died out. So this market access is a central theme with small-scale farmers if you want to have any successful project.
Donnie, just a question on the market access. I mean, market access can be as simple as this. You can either supply to the feedlot, and this is the requirement, or you can fatten the animals, you can supply them directly to the abattoir, whatever it might be. In my opinion, that's not nearly good enough. I mean, if we say to emerging farmers market access is feedlot, I mean, we know some of these requirements will most probably not be met by the emerging farmers, not in a short period of time. For instance, the quality of the animals, with regards to the genetics and so forth. So if we really want to go into one route is market access to the feedlots, then we have to send out mobile units to make sure they are traceable. That's one of the requirements. They are vaccinated, they are properly handled, and so forth and so forth. So then the project is a mass rollout of mobile processing units, and animals that went through that and has sort of a chop or stamp approval or whatever has a better probability of actually getting into the feedlot. But the project is then mobile units. The project's not necessarily just communicating the market access, because it's not really, I mean, it's not that easy. It is that easy. It's not going to work to a great extent. If there's other market access only going to a auction, Donnie, then I mean, then the project is we have to work with the auction houses to get smaller auctions on ground level, and not for these guys to take one or two cattle to the nearest town or whatever it might be, but to create sort of temporarily auction houses set up in rural areas and so forth. Then that's the project. So we should really try to narrow down what the project is, what should be done with limited funding. Well, it's always limited funding, but if we go market access, it's not one of the two. We can do both of them, but I'm just trying to stimulate the way of thinking is what's the project really that we as industry should tackle to make this happen. We can't focus on one or two communities to give them market access. I mean, that's not the way to go from a national point of view. We can work with all the auction houses and try to get this up and running for them to set up tents and so forth to do that. I know the guys from Meat Naturally did it very successfully. I think it's engaged in a little bit in the Eastern Cape. We can sort of look at that model and so forth. So I'm just trying to get to that specific project.
No, thanks, Philip, and everybody that's made comments. So it brings us back to Gabo's comment here. because he talked of enterprise development, and I'm just wondering, in the red meat industry, how many entities are able to do that enterprise development in terms of the BE scorecard, if they do it at all? Because you're talking about auctions, Philip. If they are actually doing a BE scorecard, hopefully they have an ED aspect to them, and that's where we can then sort of say, okay, in your spend, can you assist with auctions in the, or it would have to be in their coverage area to cater for the developing farmers. So, but at the end of the day, yeah, what you're saying is we need to define what is this market access. Is it feedlots? I feel feedlots are probably a bit too narrow. Auctions, I think auctions are better because they are broader. They cater for a number of buyers at the end of the day. But please, let's open it up for discussion. What should we focus on? And yeah, and how do we support it? I do like the idea of auctions. I don't know how workable it is.
While they're thinking, while they're thinking longer, I think if we tackle the emerging farmer, this inclusive growth segment, it really doesn't matter what the rand amount is, it's always going to be limited. I mean, we need a hell of a lot of money to really cater for this market. In my opinion, not in my experience the past 2 years, to lobby for funds for inclusive growth is the easiest. It's really, really not that difficult. To lobby funds for anything else is really difficult. So my idea is if we set up something, whatever, if it's mobile auctions, if it's route to feedlots, if it's training, I mean, whatever it is, if we structure this correctly from a national point of view and it can be measured, to lobby funds from all BEE companies, from all scorecards, from everybody wants to and have to spend money.
Yeah.
Whether it's 50,000 rand or 50 million rand, there's a lot of funds flowing around for inclusive growth. However, for everybody to create their own little thing with 50,000 or 100,000 or 500,000 or whatever, I don't think South Africa is really moving with regards to that. If we can put something, and that's something that we as industry can do, is if we can sort of get a proper, not a blueprint, but a workable something, and just say, guys, let's pull the money and put something in place from a national point of view. I think that's the way to go. To lobby that funds, we'll be able to do that. But we have to be very clear, and it has to be very simplified of what we put on the table. And it shouldn't be restricted to only, let's say, it's auction houses. I mean, there can be other things as well. Maybe it should be more of a turnkey solution with training incorporated, whatever. But I truly think there's massive potential to gather, let's call it a stupid amount of money. Everybody wants to put in money, but they need to show results. And currently it's very difficult to show results. But if we do whatever this conversation is going to end up, if we do it correctly, the amount of money is not going to be a problem.
Thanks, Philip. Yeah, I think I've also always believed in this, let's spend our enterprise development funds in a collective manner that makes impact than little isolated projects across the country. Ryan, please.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to support what Philip's just said. I think if you look at the social labor plans for the mines, the number of mines I've been involved with, a couple of them, if you look at the renewable energy sector and the amount of money that's flowing from them into their rural communities, all of them, I can tell you at least 80% that I've been involved in has a livestock component to it. And as you said, market access, it's animal health, it's the same metric that we're talking about. Everybody's working in these little silos. So I want to support what Philip's just saying. Somehow we need to get even if it's on a district level, obviously if you're looking at social labor plans and those sort of things, there's very specific metrics in terms of those companies and how they can spend their money and where they need to spend their money. But if you can distill it down to a district level type scenario, but have a generic type thing and say, right, well, from industry's perspective, RMIS perspective, we can put these services in place. It can be our contribution, and how do you match it from the private sector, but specifically within that same municipal area, and then link that to feedlots and those sort of people. I think you're working in the right direction. All right, thanks, bye.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Philip, if I can put something on the table, again, just on the top of the head, but if we can create a platform and say, listen, okay, you can enroll in this program as an emerging farmer and see where is the people coming from. Is it all over the country? Is it a certain area? Put those people in the program, get the funding, say, from a feedlot, an auction house, everybody, veterinarians, insurance companies, name it, we get into animal health products, feed production, and then say, listen, okay, you enrolled in this program. If you do your exams, if you do your studies, if you do give your feedback, we put in the management system controlling the animals and vaccinations, the mobile units, all of that. Then you will get access to your market where you can off-sell either auction, either feedlot, either whatever, and then we as industry can measure the success. And I don't think there's one company, no company that want to be part of a success story, because there's so many failures, so many millions and millions and millions of rands being wasted on projects like these. I've been with ABSA, with DKP, with all these companies, and there is very, very far in between a success story, even maybe one of all of them. So if we can create a platform, measure it, like you said in the beginning, and pull in all this expertise and programs and learn these people and really learn them, not just complying to a scorecard and tick a box and say, okay, I'm BEE compliant now, so I can do business in my industry where I am. And seriously put the results on the table. I think then it's a big one for the industry.
Yeah,
I like this idea.
Yeah. So Roy says self-selection. Let's have Ryan, Yolandi, or somebody else. Okay. Have the two hands. Ryan?
Sorry, it's an old hand. Sorry, my apologies.
Okay. Okay. And then Yolandi?
I think we've said it here. It's in the name, inclusive growth. It's also, we have to include everybody. It's going to be a collaborative process that we have to take from the ground, and we have to get people from all sides, even the local retailers, like we're getting the Woolworths, the Pick n Pay for local markets, your exports, abattoirs. As we said, the feed, everybody's going to be part of this program if we have to make it work. But I think this, the idea is to develop that farmer from a starting point to an end point, let him sell to these people within the value chain, and then we will be able to measure it. And I think that is what, once we do that, we're going to hit all our targets. And it's going to really add value to everybody within the value chain, not just a red meat producer. And that, I think we in an era of going forward into the future, where we can't just section the red meat value chain and say, this is producers, this is abattoirs, this is auction houses. We are all interlinked, and we cannot work separately. We have to work together, and I think inclusive growth has got that opportunity for us.
Thanks.
Just a comment on that, Longa. So we're running a program where we've got a project from First Rank Group and Kagiso. So it's a turnkey solution, meaning it's from the screening of, it's community based, it's not a specific farmer. So the community is identified as 50 farmers plus minus and 500 animals. So it's decent communities, proper herds. And it's from the screening of the people, okay, to training, to sending out mobile units. It's a 3-year project. It is all the training. It is mobile units. It is genetics buying bulls. It's the proper stuff for 3 years. That project it's 3 million rand per community. Now, I just said money's not going to be a problem, but I don't think we've got enough money to spend 3 million on all communities. So I think this idea is a similar idea. It's sort of a turnkey solution to a great extent, but I don't think we're not near to the ballpark of 3 million. I think if we can work on something like, I don't know, 500 per community or something in that direction, to get proper money and to get the national footprint and so forth. But I think the challenging part is going to be, and it's doable without a doubt, is exactly what are we going to put in place so it's reachable from a cost perspective, and that it's measurable and we're actually going to get some results. Because you know it as good as as we know it, is if you have the wrong people in a perfect project, you're not going to have success, and the other way around. So I think that the crux is going to be, and we'll do it from our side, based on this conversation, is exactly some of the things we can actually mitigate or manage from a digital point of view. Let's say a record keeping system. I'm thinking about Donnie in your direction with regards to the vaccination programs and observation of diseases and stuff like that. So some of it is scalable, and some of the stuff is just purely not scalable. Our mobile units is scalable to a certain extent, but if we have to get money for mobile units, I'll get it. So I think that's going to be the crux to really, because we can't focus on one region or one province, then we're going to be in a lot of trouble. It has to be a national thing, but also a national thing over time. But the objective must be within 5 years, it has to be a national footprint. I mean, otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Before
I just want a summary. From what I understand, because we're saying who is the target client or beneficiary in this instance, and we're saying it is a farmer and one that can market something. Otherwise, it's pointless, right? Somebody that can be linked into a market.
But the guy.
We've got two questions.
Yeah.
Is it an individual farmer that most probably is on government land?
Yeah.
Not all of them, but I mean, there's a majority of them. Or is it the communal guys that farms with 300-500 animals and everybody owns 1.5 animals?
Yeah.
Okay. In my opinion, and RMAs that we're doing with the new project now is we're focusing on the masses.
Yeah.
Okay. In my opinion, if you look at really helping the people, okay, and the social economic point of view and so forth, and really getting to the number of animals and the risk of those strained animals around the small towns and so forth, the risk of disease spread and so forth to the commercial guys, and we're focusing a little bit more on the masses, on the communities and the number of animals, rather not excluding, but rather than the individual guys. With all due respect, I think a lot of the individual guys were already out with the plus farms and all the government projects, and double dipping is a no-go. We'll never do double dipping. So maybe you asked the question, who's the client? In my opinion, I think the client should rather be, I think they've been left behind for many, many years.
Okay.
The communities.
Sorry, so Kani, I'm coming just to you because I want us to sort of zoom into
Dr.
something.
Dr. Smela. Dr.
No.
Smela.
Yebo?
It's Gamma.
Okay.
Don't forget me.
Your hand wasn't up, Gamma. I'm looking at people put their hands up. Yeah, I see you. So I'll come to you and Kani. I just wanted to summarize so that we get to a direction. We need to target somebody. So Philip is categorically said they prefer to target communities because they've been left behind. They have livestock, they need to be linked up to a market. And then we need to come in with a development program, and it's largely linked to training, right? Capacity development that enables them to manage that animal so that it actually eventually reaches the market. So I think that's where we are, and that's what we need to unpack. And the other thing that I sort of wanted to say is what are the probably need to get to at some point is what are the intervention, how long? Because it's all budgetary constrained. I mean, Philip has already said 3 million over 3 years per community. So we also need to sort of say, what is the minimum sort of time of intervention that we can say, we've done what we can for you, you need to move on to the next level. And as Philip said, then there's a fund mobilization from all the role players, particularly your off-takers, your auctioneers, feedlotters, I assume, that can also support this program so that the farmer is left at a point, to what Danny said earlier, where they can continuously market, play a role in this value chain, and hopefully don't drop out and continue. So I think that's where we are. Kani and then Gamma, please.
Thanks, Dr. Simelane. I think what I wanted to add was actually to link with where we had started off with Philip talking about what do we want to achieve with this inclusive growth. And I think as he was speaking now and as we were putting together the summary so far, you did cover some of what I was thinking, that the objective has to be clear because there's a lot that can be done. For one, there is farmer development in terms of farmers who who want to be commercial or farmers who want to be competitive. But then there's also the aspect of food security when working with the masses, as Philip put it, that in that aspect, it's not just the commercialization that is important, but then there's an aspect of food security, and is that one of the objectives that the RMIS would like to achieve. And then also this one here of animal health, Philip just touched on it, that with the especially communal areas, there is the risk of animal diseases. And even though those communities might not want to be commercial, but then they can spread the disease into commercial farms. And then there's also the issue of sustainability in terms of production. So I think for me, I just wanted to sort of bring us back to what exactly we want to achieve, and then that will make it easier for us to then target and say, if we want to achieve farmer development in terms of commercialization, then yes, we need to focus on production development, but outside production development, the issue of market access becomes more important. And then when it comes to example, animal health, then it can't just end at or the focus might not just be the individual farmer who wants to market, but then it also involves the communal areas that have the risk of spreading diseases. So I just wanted us to then maybe have those objectives, and then we tackle it. It might be easier for us to tackle in that way.
Thanks, Kani. So you're saying focus on communities, you tick lots of boxes, food security, disease control, and all others.
Especially the socio-economic part.
Yeah.
I mean, the way we can quantify the same project based on the same amount of money in communities versus individual farmers. I mean, the ripple effect is just going to be so much bigger.
Yeah, thank you. Gama? Sorry, can I take Gama?
Thanks, Dr. Smith. I don't know if I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Am I audible? I've got challenges of network. Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to highlight is that it's very important to identify needs of the like, for instance, we've got different LSU around the country, whereby some of our farmers don't understand that soil conservation is very important and all their activities. And I think Danny Odendaal stated that overgrazing is one of the key components that creates a problem within our industry. So I thought that maybe if
Okay, you've disappeared.
I think
You're breaking. Do you think you could type it in, Gama, and then we'll take it from there? I know it's much slower than talking, but we can't hear you now. Meantime, right?
I want to put two things on the table. I've been involved in this program since 2006. And there's two major problems with all the projects I've been involved with. The one is the money is always too late. So the guy needs to plant, and by November, they only start finalizing the project plans. So that is one of the biggest problems with all of these projects, that the money is too late. So we must plan, we must allocate, and we must be in advance ready for whatever we want to do. Secondly is, it doesn't help we take 3 million and we divide it into 20 pieces. Then we sit exactly with the starting comments of Philip. We have this little money and we can do absolutely nothing with that. So rather concentrate on two areas. We will not be popular with the other 20 areas that also want to get involved, but concentrate there. prove to the industry that we are successful in what we try to achieve, and then the money will flow in, and then we can expand. So I think that is the two major concerns from my side, if I can call it that. Money must be on time or ahead of time, and there must be enough money. And if you budget for 10 rand, make sure there's 20 rand.
Okay. No, thanks, Roy. I think that's very important, especially I think the running from beginning to end and not running out of money. I just wanted to check with the group, the colleagues. Are you happy with the focus on rural, on communal lands, more the community as opposed to individual farmers? I think let's narrow that down. And the other thing I wanted to come back to, and I think it comes back to what Roy is saying, that run the thing to conclusion. I mean, a lot of you here are already running training programs. What sort of time frame should we be budgeting? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years?
Well, if you want to measure proper KPIs, winning percentage and support, it's 3 years.
3 years.
So you can do it in 2 years, but you measure one cycle.
Yeah.
How do you measure the enhancement or the how you do it?
Hopefully it's so successful that the money will keep on flowing and that program can be extended and extended.
Yeah.
So what we saw from our side, Matt, we'll give you a chance now. What we saw from our side is something like the mobile units. I mean, we've been experimenting with 3 now. We've got 3 different ones, and the 4th one is way different. So we're making it better as we go, more efficient and support. To roll out, let's say, 2 to 3 mobile units per province, it's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really doable. And we decreased the cost as well. We started with 500,000 on a mobile unit. We decreased the cost because a lot of it's not necessary as support. So, but to get funding or use statutory funding to get mobile units all over South Africa is doable.
Yeah.
Again, if you think if there's 2, let's take the Free State. If you put one in let's say Bloemfontein and one in Bethlehem, to one part of the Free State, other part of the Free State. A year is a lot of time for a mobile unit to go out and spend 2 to 3 days on a community. You can actually, I don't say you're going to do the entire Free State, but I think you're going to get close to it. It's a pretty short period of time. It seems like this big project, but from a mobile, I mean, the idea of dip tank didn't work. We know that. So to use the mobile units with regards to getting out to these guys to do the proper handling, to do the proper tagging and support for market access, but also to increase the productivity of the animals. And while you're there, you can do the training. Yeah. So that is it's a big project, but it's absolutely doable. And to scale it from there on, the more money you get, the more mobile units you buy, the more animal health technicians you get, and you just scale it. And I think that's going to be the important part is to get that standard correct, and we've been experimenting with, so we're not starting from scratch. But if that's the discussion, I mean, but the 3 million that I spoke about, I think 30% of it was the genetic part, to actually buy bulls. So forget about buying bulls for now. We'll get to that in 5 years' time, whatever it might be. So a lot of the cost is bulls and replacing the old cows and so forth. Forget about it for now. If you just do training, but structured training, and I mean, if the mobile unit goes out, you already have traceability. We put you on a platform and so forth, and we can get that in place. And it's absolutely doable and scalable. And I think, well, in my perspective, I think that's the way to go. We just have to structure it correctly from the get-go.
Okay, no, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy that it doesn't have to cost 3 million a community. Matt, please.
Well, we've got ABSA, so ABSA will spend all the money. You've got the budget, now go.
Matthew?
Yeah, so look, obviously there's a lot of different thoughts and ideas going around, and so it can be a bit difficult to kind of focus on one specific one. I would agree with the point made around the focus your investment. You know, I understand this whole challenge of double dipping and stuff like that, but you know, often what I see happen is that you start working with the community, you start having some successes, but then the funding runs out, and now you need to move on to a new community, and you're starting all over again. And so I think having a focus and learning lessons and building up some structure and capacity and capability and having a community or communities that we can say, this is how it works, this is the lessons that we've learned. And just like with those mobile units where we're reducing the price from, 500,000 for one unit to, 100,000 for one unit. So I think you start to develop your ability to convert a smallholder farmer into some sort of a viable entity through building your processes. So I think that's critical. Initially, when Philip started talking about the mobile units and stuff like that, I wasn't, my question was going to be like, what are you looking to achieve? But then he did mention something specifically about getting them market ready, and then also the aspect of traceability, and that kind of all relates back to one big point I think we need to look at, is how are we building out a database of these smallholder farmers, and it's one thing dealing with communities, yes, but often it's individuals making decisions. And so how do we start to build a database of who are these individuals, where are they, what interventions have happened with them, what cattle have they got, what sales are they making, and if we're going to roll out these mobile facilities with kind of that in mind, so that part of the engagement is actually building up this database of farmers and then tracking, okay, we went and tagged these animals, we made sure that 10 of them were branded, okay, how many of those actually ended up at market and being sold? I think then we do start to build something a bit more powerful, and we start to build some traceability around our system, not just in the kind of the livestock sense, but in terms of the benefit that is happening. Yeah.
Matt, I agree 100%. So we have started with a company, two, Nalfa SA and Apasa, and we gave them money and we asked them to build a database, to start to build a database, and they did brilliant up to now. I think it was in 2 months they got to 90-something communities. I mean, it's thousands of animals and so forth, and we're going to continue with that just to build the database. Because I mean, Matt, it's a very straightforward question. We can't answer it. Where's the communities? What's the needs analysis? Where do we start at least? So that is happening, and we will continue with that. Once this is happening, I mean, you have to know where you're going next. And especially if you're going to ask for money, you need to know where you're going with the money. And currently we don't know, but we'll know in the next few months. I mean, that database will expand as we go. But I think that's a step in the right direction. One of the biggest challenges we have at RMIS is from the commercial sector, is to say we are forcing, in inverted commas, the commercial guys to do a few things with regards to the ISO standards and the traceability, and you must have vet certificates when you send it and so forth. But nobody is forcing, once again in inverted commas, the emerging farmers to do the same, okay? And they are spreading diseases and so forth and so forth. Now, it is true, however, you can't say it that way. I mean, it's really impractical to say it that way. So we have to do something for the emerging farmers. Are they spreading diseases more regularly than commercial guys? They don't have fences. I mean, so it's common sense. It makes sense. However, you can't force them to do a few things like put up fences. They simply don't have the cash, and we know that. So things like this can help. I mean, it can help to send up mobile units. I'm not saying we have to go and build their fences and so forth. Hopefully we can do it in time, but I don't think we'll ever have the money for that. But to get out there once a year at least and do the proper vaccinations, do the proper training, guide them with regards to overgrazing and so forth, and be there every year in a specific community. That's the way to start at least. It's not the answer we're all looking for, but that is a answer, a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, my only kind of addition to what you've just said, and I mean, it aligns with a lot of the work I'm doing, so take it from whence it comes. But, it's one thing building a database, but the critical aspect then is, are you using that database? Because otherwise it quickly becomes irrelevant. And so it's how do we build a way that when we engage these farmers at high cost in the field and we talk to them and we vaccinate their cattle but then how do we create an ongoing, much lower cost way of interacting and engaging with them, and it's going to be electronic. It is going to limit certain people's involvement, but that's just life. But for me, that's critical, because that's where we maintain a relationship, and we can then track it.
Thanks, Matt. Colleagues, is that question adequately answered? Traceability and measurement? Any inputs on that? And hopefully from your experiences as well, because I think you've got
everybody's adding to the same idea.
Should we leave it for now, Philip? Are you comfortable?
I'm very
Okay. All right. So, yep, we're now focusing on communities, and we've said, I think Philip said 3 years because of the cycles involved. And I think we've sort of touched on the number of interventions. It's really across the whole production and enabling them to link to market. And when I say production, I include the health aspect. And Matt has touched on the traceability and measurement aspect. My other question is from an earlier discussion with Philip before we started, that obviously RMIS has limited funding, and Philip has boldly said he's going to raise funding from other sources. But I'm now looking at your service providers in this. Is it RMIS? Are we bringing in a whole range of service providers? How is
Well, it depends on how we package this project. I mean, so from a training perspective, up until now, I mean, we've done the majority of all the training.
Philip, we can't hear you very well.
Oh, sorry, hoe klink dit nou? Beter, Donnie?
I think you're soft and then you're left.
Lot
Ja,
better.
much better.
Daar sy. Sorry, ek fluister dat julle nie verstaan nie. The training, so service providers. So from a training perspective, we've done all the training. I mean, we are AgriSeta accredited and so forth. If this really expands, I mean, nationally and so forth, then we have to appoint, I mean, we've got about 5 trainers now, or guys in the field. If we have to get to 50, maybe we'll spin it out in a different company or get an external service provider, or share our training material with other guys to do training as well and so forth. So long it depends. It's always more manageable if you do it yourselves, and we are geared for that. However, if it gets too big, we'll always look at service providers. That's the one question or the one answer. The other one, from the mobile units, what we have learned, if you give a mobile unit to anybody else than yourself, you don't get it in the same condition. It just is what it is. So I think the mobile unit specifically, we'll keep that in RMIS. Maybe we'll spin it out in another company or something like that. But I mean, there's always room for external service providers to apply. I mean, there's other things as well. I mean, it's not only mobile units and training. But I think from a training perspective, I mean, if we can leverage our training material for 10 other companies to use it as well and do training, I mean, why not? I think we just have to look at the funding that goes with it. But as you said, I'll get the funding, so that won't be, be a problem.
Follow-up of short courses that's available online, but not with a cost. It must be something that the farmer has direct access to and that he can use. And if we can get service providers or contributing to our online service, that will be, because I think that will be a continuous service that we'll be able to
do. Training, but why not?
Yeah, but I mean, that is a commitment from the farmer to use it. There's nobody to check him. There's no assessment. It's on the farmer himself to want to progress. And to create the platform it's a once-off cost. It's created and everybody has access to it.
Yeah. I think you must have the assessment. You must have the certificate.
Marcel?
Because then he had tried in what he accomplished.
Yeah.
And later on, if this thing expands, you can say, listen, okay, but if you have done X, Y, and Z, you get access to the next level. And we built the level. So that's a little carrot in front. Not in a bad way, in a good way. If you want to invest in yourself, we give you the material, we give it for you for free, but in return, you have to do the assessment, you have to achieve your marks, and then you get access to the next level.
That's actually the way we've structured our communal involvement.
Well, that's the only way, because otherwise you only give them fish, you don't learn them to fish.
Parcella.
It's parcella, and then he's just standing and I want more.
Yeah, exactly.
Whole story, maybe not for this platform, but a farmer got the land. The government put up a wind pump, put up a dam, but there's no connection between the two. He refused to buy a 20 rand pipe and 2 clamps to connect it. Because if he connected, then he must look after it. So he waiting. He rather sit without water, waiting for the government to connect. And this is a true story. I've saw it with my own eyes. And he went 4 or 5 months without water because he waited for the government to connect the pipe. So unfortunately,
follow up is
he must do something from his side to get to the next level.
True. It's okay. I think we've got 2 proper projects. Well, the first one it's a big one. There's a lot of things that. Fortunately, we have paid our school fees and we have lessons learned and so forth. So we're not starting from scratch. I think it's really expanding from now. I mean, if that's the way. I mean, with, as I said, a limited budget, still you have to. The pilot project needs to be a proper pilot project, and then if you go to the APSAs or wherever, you have to show the results. You have to show. If it's an engine, if you put $1 million on this side, you get X amount of animals processed and in the commercial value chain on this side. It's as easy as that. It's as easy as that. Yeah.
And you're happy with the identification of the communities? The sort of typed on that generation.
So that's what we asked. Afasa, they started, I think it was 3 months ago, and they did, I think it was 92 communities within 2 months. And we extended their contract, and they say they're going to do in the next month. They're going to do 150 because they understand how to do it now. And the e-form that they had to fill out with GLNs on the traceability platform and everything was proper data. I mean, and that is communities that wants to work together. Remember, from a traditional mindset, all communities doesn't really want to be part of the commercial value chain. It's reality. They don't want to be part of it. They want animals with big horns. They want to slaughter it for funerals, and that's it. And it's okay. You're not going to change them. Don't try to change it. Change those guys that actually want to grow and that wants to be part of the commercial value chain. The 80-20 principle. Don't try to convince everybody. I think that's what Afasa is. We told them, don't try to convince somebody. If they want to be part of it, if they don't want to be part of it, we're going to spend money and time, and the probability of success is going to be way, way, way down.
Yeah. Thanks. So, colleagues, what I'm getting is, yes, there's value in training, and it needs to be focused, as we've said, linking communities to the markets and helping them to do everything that they need to do in between in order to be able to access and use those markets and actually benefit. That's what I'm getting here. So that's the Inclusive Growth Project. I don't know if there's anything else that you feel we should cover in this space.
Well, it's just the one with the e-form. So Donnie's saying one. Donnie, you can maybe just quickly explain yours and not the sound of your.
Flip, I don't know which one you want me to explain, but just one thought before I do that, before you ask a question. So if you do training and then follow up support, then there's action. There must be a follow-up support. But there's one thing more that's needed, and that is some contribution. Like you had an example now of the windmill and the pipe. If there's no contribution from the receiver of the grant, then you don't get buy-in. There must be also something that you can measure that they make a contribution, either in time or in reporting. The things that we had that's the most successful is where the farmer basically have to tell us on a weekly basis what was done, what is the progress. There must be a feedback loop. You can't leave a project not more than a week. Actually, you have to manage some projects day by day, and that's what we do on commercial farms now. You need a feedback to understand that something is happening on a ground level. And the last thing I want to say on that, if we talk about electronic communication, the cell phone is the only thing that has changed in Africa in 100 years. The fact that the majority of people have access to a cell phone, even at below WhatsApp level, just on a SMS, is the biggest opportunity for communication, which didn't exist when I started with this training. It do exist now.
Yeah. Great.
Is there one hand now?
Yeah, it's a legacy hand.
I think we covered, Philip.
We don't have to. Well, we did it in a very short period of time. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
What I'm very satisfied with is if nobody agreed on a specific idea or viewpoint at least, then we had trouble. I mean, where do we start? Where do we spend the money? And I think everybody is on the same page. And with the research that's coming as well. So there's one, I think we have mentioned it, one of the research projects that's coming to create a blueprint for a proper project. The successes, what to watch out for, and so forth and so forth. So I think a blueprint for anybody that does proper projects, that's coming. And this one is more a national, more generic way to go. And remember to make the connection with the auction houses, the Vleis Centraal, BKB, all of those guys, and the auction, the feedlots and so forth. I mean, that's our world. That's what we do. So we can present that and we can get it through. I mean, that's what we do. I think you asked about service providers on ground level. That might be, we're always going to work with AFASA and so forth. With all due respect, you need the local guys. I mean, if you're going to KZN, you have to speak Zulu. It's the way it is. I don't speak Zulu. I'm way too white. I can't go there. So we're always going to work with, and government as well. You have to get the extension officers there and so forth. But it's our responsibility as industry to create that platform, to say the platform is mobile units, no questions asked. A digital record keeping system, no questions asked. A health program, no questions asked. However, the way that we do it in Natal and in Eastern Cape and so forth, that's going to differ a little bit. I mean, structures differ. There's kings, there's chiefs, whatever. So we'll always work with the guys on farm level and on the ground. But we have to build this and then roll it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, colleagues, thanks a lot. Thanks for your input. I think this is a very
good.
Easy group to work with. We always seem to agree and converge very quickly in the discussions. Thank you very much, and we appreciate the shared experiences. And Philip and Elaine, we look forward to the outcome.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Dankie almal.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, everybody. It's very interesting.
Did Gama type something? Sorry, I'm going to ask him to type.
Thank you.
Gama, we had asked him to type.
Let me see.
Thank you very much, everyone. Cheers.
Yes, Matthew. It's looking for me drastic.
Ag gaan nou gestop.
Well, dat was makkelijker de eerste sessie. Our first session went 3 hours on the.
Really?
Yeah.
What was